All right, we're going to try to get up in here right now. What's good, everybody? It's your boy, Dr. Henry. About to talk some black politics tonight. It's about that time. It's about that time. Yeah. What's good? Let's see who's up in the house with me. All right. Listen, I want to talk. A little bit about what I got planned coming up for the Black Politics course I'm going to be setting up. I'm going to be doing a lecture series open to the public on the significance of the first Black president this month, because this is the month of President Barack Obama's birthday, August 4th, 1961. And I think I'm just going to do an annual presentation on the significance of the first Black president. That is a legacy that we need to know inside and out. And the longer it takes for us to embrace that, the longer it's going to take for us to get justice. All right. Let's see what's good here. So I'm just going to be going through some notes I've been gathering to share with people. And I'm just going to share all that with you. All right. So as I go, you might have questions. You can drop the questions. And yeah, take it from there. So this is just some low-key stuff. I want to talk through some matters. Now, my objective for talking through matters have come from many different motivations. I think the most important motivation is that we're heading into the 2024 presidential elections. And on that note, your boy Dr. Umar Johnson is wilding. And I need to address that, because he's speaking to the Black community. He's speaking to the Black community as Black intellectuals. And as a Black intellectual myself, I'm finding a lot of things he is saying wrong, misleading, disinformation, fallacious, and his motives are more and more becoming suspicious. So I gotta go there and talk about why I say that. All right, so sorry, I gotta do this. So I was planning on making a video to respond to something he said recently on Instagram. He's saying a lot of stuff. Not on Instagram one. I found it on YouTube. This particular comment, and he basically said that he see the majority of Black people voting for Republicans in the 2024 election. And he has two main reasons. First one is that more Black people are becoming disenchanted with the Democratic Party. They're fed up because the Democratic Party is not doing anything for African Americans. And Black people have committed to the Democratic Party for 90 years and get nothing in 90 years. So Black folks, including himself, interestingly, because I don't think he votes really, at least for the Democratic Party. So everyone else, including himself, are like, nah, we leaving. Now, I don't know if this means he's going to be voting for Trump too, because he's saying, second, that Black people are attracted to Trump's unapologetic attitude, a mindset. That's crazy. There's a lot to talk about on that. So in this video, I'm just going to talk through things, but then I'm going to get I'm going to make a more concise presentation, post it here and on Instagram, on the Political Soul Food Podcast Instagram page. Follow that if you're not right now. All right, so let me just make sure. Let me check out the comments, see if there's anybody in here sharing anything. Let me look over here real fast. I don't really see anybody right now, so I guess I'm good. I can move full speed ahead. But sometimes I'll be missing comments, so let me just make sure. Let's go here. Let's see. All right. So I don't think I can see right now. Let me go over here. All right, cool. Let's see. All right. Here. Let's go to my videos and stuff like that and just see if I can find anything. Should be able to find something. I bet. So yeah, I don't see anything right now. It's all right. Cool. So I guess I'm gonna talk through some things and we just take it from there, bro. Because most of this is for me. You know, I'm here to get my education first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? So let's do that. And I need to figure out later how to mute tab. Okay. What's good? Your channel. Black politics. All right, there we go. I see it right here. Boom. Oh, we got somebody up in the house here. Okay, the picture looking crisp. Oh, wow. DG. Yo, why? See, I'm glad I went through this. 'Cause I'm wondering why I couldn't see. Oh, there he go. All right, I see you here. Oh, snap, bro. I'm at the call DG Films, a partner in crime, yo. So yeah, man. Well, I'm glad you like the, you know, Panasonic cameras, GH5S. So they still rocking. You know what I mean? I mean, every year camera companies are putting out more and more and more cameras, but um, these joints are holding it down. You know what I'm saying? Get some decent lenses, whatever. So I'm still rocking with these joints, man. I'm still with Panasonic. You know, I got a Blackmagic cam. I'm not even using that much. The 6K, and I also got like a little, um, one of those pocket Sony cams, the ZV-1. I'm here every episode. You need more viewers, but I'm here. Y'all appreciate you, bro. You know, one step at a time and whatnot. So yeah, man. So yeah, today I'm just going to be talking through some of research and history that I'm engaging. You know, one for myself to learn, and two to share. You know what I mean? So And I plan to compress all of this information um, into a Black politics course that I want to have for the community and stuff like that. And in doing that, I want to be putting out some videos for social media purposes. And many of you already know I've been kind of putting things out here for Dr. Umar Johnson. I got blocked on his Instagram page. I'm not sure exactly when or why, or which comment. You seen Mark Lamont Hill change his endorsement to Kamala? Yeah. Well, yeah, I've seen. So it's so crazy because he said that he didn't vote for Obama and now he's voting for Kamala Harris. Shame on him. Really shame on him, especially for somebody who considers himself a progressive. I would say, I think he considers himself a progressive, or maybe, definitely on to the left of the Democratic Party, um, to the left of establishment politicians. But it's for someone who's so pro Gaza, who's so pro social change, to not vote for Obama is inconsistent. And I would love to have that discussion with him. And he might even have me on, because I've seen him bring on people who just made comments on X, the former Twitter. And so, yeah. But anyway, of course, I think he turned around because, there's a lot of energy wrapped around her and the costs are very high. And, people will look at him a little suspicious if he's not supporting her, especially in this kind of situation. Even if, like, you're not pro Kamala. And this depends on who you are. I mean, there may be people who might listen to this and say, well, I'm for everything that Trump is standing for and for Project 2025. So this wouldn't count. Says he's very inconsistent. He used to host Basketball Wives, but he has a PhD. So I respect himself. Absolutely. Yeah, he has a PhD. I think his PhD is in education. He's a very knowledgeable guy, very broad knowledge base, things dealing with education, hip hop, Black culture, uh, the history and politics of the Middle East, particularly the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. So I definitely give him his props. At the end of the day, I think he's for the cause. Yeah. So that's that, and there's always going to be internal differences on certain kinds of issues. Usually it's the process by which we get to the goal that we would like. I mean, everybody at the end of the day just want to chill, man. Like, if you're Black, like, at the end of the day, you just want to, be able to have a means to, to live life with your family and do the things that you feel that you're on this planet to do. It's at the end of the day, right? Now, how do we get that? We encounter different kinds of obstacles that might persuade us to choose different ways of getting there, and those different approaches really depends on our experience with racism. And so the further back we go, racism impacted almost every Black person nearly the same, right? There are some outliers outside of the common experience of Jim Crow or slavery. And so, but still, it was just so crazy that everybody's understood. But slowly but surely, as things open up, people were experiencing the American society in different ways. Some people have more of an opportunity and less of an opportunity. And they're going to be thinking about what it means to, be successful. Some people are going to say, Black people got everything we need. So it's just a matter of just, being focused and not being lazy. And then other people say, well, nobody's lazy over here. It's just that me and my family experienced redlining. We've experienced chronic hardships, unemployment, or poverty to a certain degree because of systemic racism, and which is, like, really a documented fact. And so, therefore, the way we engage society as Black people changes up depending on our local experiences. But anyway, I definitely feel that one of the things that progressed Black, because I consider myself a Black liberal progressive, but I'm going to say those who think they're a little bit more radical than a person like myself, or then let's say use Obama, than a person like Obama, and there's a whole range of folks to the left of Obama. Weirdly, I see Dr. Umar to the right. I see him he's more conservative than anything else, though. So the thing is, a lot of people think that they're more radical than Obama, but the more I study and dig into his politics, I feel like Obama, or even somebody like Kamala Harris, are actually more radical. They're like full-time radicals, because people who like to operate outside the system, they get to pick and choose when they get loud, and they're in a safe space. Now, sometimes they put their bodies on the line and march and say things, maybe put their jobs on the line. But you have a person who's really committed to the cause, and they occupy a position as an elected official. We mostly look at that as negative, like they get there, but the salary of an elected official is not that much, right? And if you look at somebody like Kamala Harris, who spent so much time in law school and a lot of sexism and racism on her way up in Obama, like if you know Obama's story, people would be like amazed. I mean, their jaw would be on the floor. So the DD film was like, I lean more independent conservative. All right. So one of the things when Dr. Umar Johnson says something like the comment that I want to really discuss today in the context of some research I'm doing, and he talks about Black people have been voting for the Democratic Party for 90 years, and what has the Democratic Party done? All right, that's historically kind of misleading. I get what he's saying, but historically it's misleading to make that kind of comment. And here's why. So, most people know by now that the African Americans, for a period of time since the Civil War, after the Civil War, have voted Republican. And that's because the Republicans fought against the Democrats. Now, I need to unpack that because that's been exploited. Northern states fought against Southern states. People who had a more liberal approach to the world fought those who had a more conservative approach. They wanted to keep things, so white conservatism, that's really where the real struggle is in American society, between liberals and conservatives. The reason why I say that is because when you get caught in the parties, so people complain about Black folks being Democrats, but we are liberal Democrats. The Democrats that people were referring to in the past that supported slavery, that fought against the Union to keep slavery, and that fought for Jim Crow, those were Southern conservative Democrats for the most part. And I like to look at them as their states, because it was all about states' rights for them. They, these states like Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, South Carolina, all of these states wanted to maintain a big part of what they felt was their culture and their right to have that culture, and that was the peculiar institution, the institution of slavery. And these same states, the people who lived in these same states, just changed the party, and they're Republicans now, but their value system is the same, based on a conservative view, a conservative ideology of the United States, and that is the superiority of whiteness, white nationalism, white supremacy. And while the language is not as raw, their language is not as raw, in terms of expressing what they want, the motivation is coming from the same place. And this is what I'm talking about, right? This is what I'm talking about. So let me go back. So when Dr. Umar Johnson says, black people have been voting for Democratic Party for 90 years, some people say 60, and I'll debunk that in a second, but let's start with the 90. Because he's trying to go so far back that he is really trying to impress upon black people that we've just been fools for nearly a century. And that's my whole point. Like Dr. Umar Johnson is, I was going to say that he's looking at us as we are fools, but he's trying to make us fools. Let me see if I can show you something here, because I was gonna do this later, but I can actually show my screen, because I do have a lot of my notes out. So let me bring out some of my notes. If y'all bear with me, let me bring out some notes here for you all. And let's see if I can bring this out. Yeah, this is good here. So check this out, y'all. I'm gonna start talking with some of this, and I'm gonna lay this out when the time is right. If y'all down with a Nancy Pelosi's real deal, bro. So if y'all down, let me know, because we're gonna be doing something real. So I want to add a page. Let me see. I'm gonna add a scene. Hold on a second. Okay, hold on 1 second, y'all. Okay. All right, let's see if I see my screen right now. Okay. So check this out right now. Let me maximize this for myself. Okay. So this is sort of a history of the party, of the Black Party identification. Yeah, so Dr. Umar Johnson said 90 years. That takes us back to about, 92 or something like that. So let's see here. 2020, 2024. 1994. Okay, take us back to like 1994. Now, if we look by 1996, Black folks are beginning to vote a little bit here for Democrats in 1996. And then by 1940, it's about even. In 1944, it's about even. So it's really up until 1948 where you see an overwhelming shift, but it's not as big as it looks here. It's really when you get to 1964 where you see the commitment. All right. So it took a little time. Black folks were kind of going back and forth. Now, the reason why I want to bring this out is because some of us were still voting for the Republican Party. Some of us were still voting, some of us were still voting for the Republican Party. And it was kind of going back and forth, because that was that slow transition. Now, here is something that's really important. When Dr. Umar Johnson makes the case, let me see if I can get out of here. Hold on a second. Let me get out of here. Okay. So when Dr. Umar Johnson, let me see if I can I do this? All right. Makes the case that we've been voting for the Democratic Party like 90 years, he's first not taking account that during that time period, one, we were still voting a lot for the Republican Party. Two, don't let those numbers fool you. Those numbers are just giving you the percentage among black people who were voting. But during that time, there were not a lot of us able to vote because Jim Crow was prevalent. Okay? So when you talk about the 1930s, 1920, right, let me just establish when Jim Crow took place. All right. So we have, after the Civil War, black people were coming out trying to do our thing. Racist Americans like slow your roll. And then, Reconstruction was ended around, some people say around 1870, 1877, around that time. But let's just use this date, 1896, the Plessy versus Ferguson case, because that's the Supreme Court decision that established as a rule that it's okay to separate black people from white people. And the argument was that just because people are separated, I should say segregated, doesn't mean it's unequal. But that was a scam. So we're going to talk about this when we get into our black politics course, because Malcolm X realized he had to explain that he needed to make sure that people understood, and he had to make sure for himself, he realized that there's a difference between separation and segregation. So when people critique King and talk about integration was a problem, they don't realize that King was fighting segregation, because with segregation, you don't just get the separation of being in your own towns and having your own schools. People think it was just that simple. It's the segregation of resources, money, having resources to build on the land, having resources to have a meat factory, to create hospitals. So, if you're in a country, you need certain kinds of supplies. You have to get that from other people. There are usually white Americans who monopolize those resources. And we couldn't even get into positions of government if we okayed segregation, to make sure that there are economic policies that are equally applying for the better to all of us. So that's why we couldn't just fall for segregation. And a lot of people like to say, well, we were better off when we were segregated, because a lot of times they look at certain behaviors, right? There was probably less social unrest, but people were getting lynched. People were being marginalized. There were like one hospital for like a town of people. Right now, you go to a community like New York City, there's several hospitals. Now we still got some discrimination going on, but there are a lot of hospitals for us to choose from. You can jump in an Uber and go to maybe 5 hospitals within, a 5, 6 mile, 7 mile, 10 mile, perimeter. So, yeah. So anyway, my point is that when 1896 hit, the Plessy versus Ferguson case hit, and other cases, black people were marginalized, and to vote was to risk your life. Okay. One of the books that I'm going to be recommending is called White Rage by Dr. Carol Anderson. And she basically gives you case in points, details of lynchings and how people were keeping black people from the polls using brute force and all sorts of legal tricks. Okay. In fact, let me give you some stats. Do I have my stats with me? I don't have my stats with me. Let's take, I think I remember some off the top of my head. Around let's say between like the 40s and 50s. Now I'll get my stats. In Alabama, only like 1.3% of blacks, I believe, were like registered to vote or something. I got to get the stats exactly for you, and I think I'm going to do that in a second, because I just really want to give it to you. As a matter of fact, I can put it up here, and while I'm doing that, the point I'm going to be making and showing you is that very few of us were able to vote. Like there were like small counties and towns. I do remember one number. There was a county in Alabama, um, and there were about 11,000 black people living in this town. Yeah, all black folks, but none of them were registered to vote, and a lot would be afraid to vote. And so there are a lot of scenarios, which was the whole point of the civil rights movement. A lot of people think the civil rights movement was about just segregate integration. No, it's about stopping the terrorism that was going on in the South. And it's like the whitewashed version of history we get makes us forget or not learn what caused the civil rights movement over these decades. You know, blowing up 4 girls in the church, stuff like that. Murdering, shooting dead civil rights activists who are just saying we want to register voters. This was the reason for pushing for the Civil Rights Act and then the Voting Rights Act. And when the Voting Rights Act kicked in, within 3 years, in some places where there were only about, let's say less than 20% or 10% of people registered to vote, there was a jump to about 59% of black people registered to vote. And I'm going to get these numbers more exact. I'll probably just wait to, if you want me to give you some of these sources, like I always say, if you want to know my sources, or you want me to cite them, you can always slow me down and pause, and I'll get it for you, right? Because I got time, all the time, to pull up the sources. So, I can hear all their coded dog whistles when they talk about the silent majority and all that. Yes, yes. So I bring this out to Dr. Umar Johnson because he's talking about we were voting for like 90 years. And I'm like, well, a good almost 40 of those years don't really count because we were fighting to get the right to really vote. And when we were voting, we weren't completely committed. You see us really showing up to coming out in larger numbers by 1964. And that's when we were clear about voting for the Democratic Party. The reason why, because we were like, listen, we're not like trying to find besties or friends. Because we were already trying to do what we want to do on our own. We just trying to get people to get off our back. We don't want to be hunted down, shot at, because we're going to shoot back. And we don't want, whatever party it is, if it's a Democratic Party now or Republican Party now or later, we don't want that party who's giving us the most problems to be in power, simply put. So when people try to say black people just voting for the Democratic Party mindlessly, no. We're making an existential choice. We're making a very practical choice. The same way the United States does. Or for all the talk that it had against the USSR, they didn't drop no nuclear missile, and the USSR didn't drop no nuclear missile. And they have treaties with them. There are times when, one time when Japan was beating up on Russia, even though Japan was an ally, we were trying to help Russia, like, chill, yo. So that's how they accumulated their power. America is just not like this country that can just smash everyone. No, it joined in on the World War I and II, and then got an upper hand because while the European countries were literally renovating the buildings that were like smashed by bombs, we were able to excel. Right? So while they're trying to make ends meet, we are up there making sure they also meet the deadline for the loans we gave them. You know what I'm saying? So willing and dealing is kind of what politics is. So black folks understood that, okay, the Republican Party is losing their mind. In fact, by 1904, when there was a black individual who had called out the Republican Party as the party of the KKK party. So very early on, black folks began to see it. because a lot of conservative Republicans were doing the most to prevent black people from getting political power, economic power. And then we started to notice that some Democrats, even though they're not our best friends, were at least just like unbothered with certain things. So I'm like, all right, you might not be helping me, but you ain't trying to like exploit me the way other folks are trying to exploit me. I know I might have to deal with you later, but not to the same way. I mean, think about this. Black folks were migrating from the South. Like when you have a wave of migration, they weren't migrating from the South to like find gold because there was a gold rush. They were migrating because Southerners were extorting us, lynching us. It was just like 2 degrees, 3 degrees from slavery almost. All right. So we were like, I bet we out. We always been like, yo, we out. Y'all don't like us, we out. So people try to paint this picture when we did integration, like, oh, we just wanted to be somewhere. No, we were looking at something bigger than that. So when they trivialize our motives for voting for the Democratic Party, or our motives for integration is bigger than that. Now, obviously, you're going to have exceptions to the rule. You're obviously going to have people who may may want to like be and perform like a white person or whatever like that. But by no means that's the majority of us. So when Dr. Umar says, 90 years, what have we gotten? Well, one thing we've gotten, hey, Dr. Umar Johnson, you're right to go to school and get your, what do you got, a Psych D? And even though he doesn't vote, when I vote, I'm voting for the protections of the very policies that allows him and other young brothers and sisters to do their thing and to do business and to vote. Meanwhile, the party he's saying that he see black people moving to are trying to undermine the access to the education that he got. What are you saying? You just want to be the one that gets through and not cut it for everybody else? What you saying? They're trying to give police immunity. You gonna talk about Kamala Harris? Basically one of her comments was a smack to the face of the killings of people who were killed by police officers. But you're like excited to see that the majority of black people will one day vote for Republicans again, for the very party that got a Project 25 that you can get access to, and you can see that at the core of it is racially motivated? Nah, bro. Like, why are you excited to see that? Why are you egging us on? He's doing some freaking like Amazon trick when they tell you how many people have bought something. Yeah, man, I see a lot of people moving over there. And that's kind of false. Anyway, not kind of, that's very false, right? He's talking about scholars are saying that a lot of people are going to be voting for Trump. Like, no, scholars ain't scholars like and such like him. They're not saying that. I'm telling you, they're not saying that. And don't go by my word. But like, this is what I'm doing. This is what I do. I'm telling you, they're not saying that. We are saying, and black sociologists or people who just political theorists are seeing an uptick among black men an appeal for Trump or the Republican Party. But it's a little bit of an uptick, and it's a certain group of people within a group of people. That's it. Last time Trump on his best, they got 16% of the black vote. Everybody like, whoa. Yeah, it's alarming. Anybody who's voting for somebody who says, "I'll make America back," and can't see the code, he's just using dog whistle politics that he learned from Nixon and Reagan. So yeah, so while he talks good on one side, he's actually passing policies. He actually allowing people to pass policies that hurt us on the other side of things. So we can talk about the Democratic Party. Yeah, there's some races in the Democratic Party, but guess what? We are actually inside of it. So you have some in certain places and spaces, maybe very high up, who are still operating, but that's more of a minority. And we know that because When we get too far in, what do? They leave the Democratic Party. See, one thing you got to realize that it's not like we ran to the Democratic Party. First of all, the Republican Party left us. That's why the Republican Party is like 89% white. They left. They didn't want us to vote. Yo, I got a quote here. Let me see something here. Let's get into the historical story here. So the dude who tortured and killed Emmett Till, let me tell you what he said. Because y'all think this is a game. Y'all think this is a game. Laughing around with somebody like Dr. Umar Johnson. Like, he's a brother, but yo, he's caught up. He's caught up. Let me just read the words of somebody who did something to Emmett Till, and he would do it again to each and every one of us again. If y'all want to play around, y'all want to mess around and find out. That's really what a lot of people don't think that racism is real or white rage is real. And as Carol Anderson reminds us, white rage doesn't look like an angry face all the time. Even though some of them were real, like if you take your boy, South Carolina Senator Graham, what's his name? I forget. Senator Graham, Lindsey Graham. He was like, we need more angry white male voters. Yo, that's published, bro. Like, what does that mean? In order for the Republican Party to survive, so a lot of people run into Trump, black folks run into Trump, not realizing that the wink, like the dude said it because he understood the demographics. And it's a shame that they understand our power more than we do. That's what gets me. All right, so let me just get something here. I want to read this to you because this is crazy. As a matter of fact, let me get this here. Watch this. Trying to get this real fast. All right. You know when you want something, you can't find it? That's crazy. All right, let me do this. Give me 1 second. And then you know how for some reason you just can't spell something? Okay. Dr. Carol Anderson, she's a historian. She's a beast, y'all. She's a beast. I like her work because her work is based on, so a lot of people hear me like I'm summarizing stories and stuff like that. In her book, you get the words of the people from history, from the back of the day, and today, like what they're saying. She puts that together. So when I see so this is why I get all crazy because this is why I get all amped up. Let me say that crazy. When I see a party undermining voting rights and successfully doing it little by little, I'm reminded of stuff like this because they are carrying out their long-term plan. As J.W. Milam, the Mississippian who tortured and murdered 14-year-old Emmett Till, only to be found not guilty in 1955 by a jury of his peers, remarked. He remarked this. This is what somebody who killed Emmett Till said. Niggers ain't gonna vote where I live. If they did, they control the government. They ain't gonna go to school with my kids. Yo, and they standing on business with that. They like that. The death of Emmett Till, sadly, wasn't the only one of a child to be killed, and countless deaths of people we can't even name or have names for of others. So when the Republican Party decided to attempt to gut the Voting Rights Act, that was one of Nixon's main thing right after, because when that Civil Rights Act came, Civil Rights Act 64, Voting Rights Act 65, Barry Goldwater was like, oh hell nah, and he was very explicit to white America that right now is the time to stop playing around. And Nixon was able to get nearly every state in the country, because the majority at the time were white voters. He got nearly every state to vote for him and with him, and tried to push back against the Civil Rights and the Voting Rights Act. He wanted to undermine it. Every Republican president tried to do it. Every Republican, they fought, and they realized that they couldn't just do it alone. So eventually they were able to get the Supreme Court strong enough, and they did it with the courts. So, which is why when people didn't vote for Hillary, everybody looking at Hillary and not the political capital we need to protect. Sometimes the best thing you can do is stop the other team from scoring. You might not have a great game, or you know what I'm saying, right? Some people were looking at Hillary like, I don't know. But bro, like if you playing like that, then you playing checkers. Because you only looking one move ahead. You only looking at, I make this move and that's that. While they're saying, okay, yo, did you see the defense that they played when Obama won? When the historic victory happened, they played the best defense I've ever seen. They confused us, and they took the House. They crippled Obama. They crippled the House in 2010. And then in the following midterm, I always tell people that, they took the Senate. And then they got Trump in there. They got governors, and then they got the Supreme Court in there, who are going to be in there forever. And so now we like, yo, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? We didn't think about it. Mitch McConnell bragged about it. Like the dude knew what he was doing. While he was playing defense, his whole thing was to stop Obama from getting people into the Supreme Court as best he could. How to slow down Obama from getting federal judges as best they could, because they were like, he's appointing an alarming number of black folks, right? So it's not just the Supreme Court; it's all the other courts, all the other federal seats. What did Obama do for us? We didn't even see that. Because we want somebody to come in with a big gold chain. Somehow, I got this. I'm giving to the block. Even notable white Republicans use dog whistle politics. They speak in a different language. Now you got a few who want to let them know, like, listen, I'm here for you. But a lot of that stuff, make America great again. We trying to make it great again. Like we're like, yo, we trying to move forward. Like, what do you mean great again? Not for us, and we falling for that. Like, I'm surprised at some black folks, because they act like they ain't never seen like somebody on the block who ain't really feeling you, but they fronting. They bring you in because of maybe who they can get access to from you, or they just want to be around for other reasons, or they just need you there for a certain support, but not really feeling you. And like, we falling for that. So, going back to Dr. Umar Johnson, is like his second point, because I know I'm more over right now, but his second point was that, we have an appeal. We are, there's something about him that attracts us, and that's the fact that he's unapologetic. So we are so empty-headed and silly that we not going to see that this man is the poster child for white supremacists and neo-Nazis and American fascists, because he talks like it is. Like, that's what it takes just to convince us. Dr. Umar Johnson, what are you saying about black people? Now, actually, there are people who say that. There have been other black folks. That's why I call him the real house Negro. Like, he's telling white folks that they could just tell us anything and throw a STEMI check and we'll come running. Just talk like it is. Get arrested. Like, that's all it takes for us? Yo, you selling us out, Dr. Umar Johnson? Like, what? That's how you see us? Let me see if I can even pull up the video, bro. I don't know how this gonna work. Let me see. Cause it's crazy. Let me see something, man. Like, all right, I'm right here. All right, I need to get off this page. Let me see if they'll let me do it. Go to my history. And okay, here it is. Let me see if I can give you this page. Hold on a second. Let me pause this. Bring this back. Now let me take off this music in the background, y'all. All right, back. So let me see something here. I'm gonna add a page, screen share. Okay, here we go. All right, let me make sure we can hear the audio here. Let me open this up. Give me a second. Unmute. All right, I'm gonna play this. If y'all don't hear nothing, tell me. All right. All right, I'm gonna play now. Here we go. Oh, hold on. Are y'all even seeing this right now? Okay. Let me just make sure y'all were able to see it. Did y'all see that, or was it just me watching? Let me see something. Let me see. I don't know if y'all saw that. All right, bet. I think I know what I did wrong. So let me do this. Let me add this as a scene. Media. Let's see. Screen. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can get this screen to play. All right. Let me come back to this one here. All right, bet. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. I want to do a screen share. Dr. Umar. Share it. All right. So now, do y'all see this right here? Let me see. I don't know if they see that. Let's see. Y'all should be seeing this right now. Let me know if y'all see this right now. Y'all should see a picture of Dr. Umar Johnson. All right. So they might not be seeing this. Nope, can't see it. So I'm gonna have to practice this at some point because you should be seeing this right here. Let me go back here. Add source. Share screen. This is the tab. Enter screen. Share. Audio. Oh, that's crazy. For some reason, ain't letting me share it. Window. This right here. Share that. All right. So I don't know. I'm trying to get y'all to see something, but it ain't working. I guess. Shoot, I should have put a camera on it. I don't know if y'all were able to hear it, but yeah, it's a shame. Now I don't know. This should have been easy, yo. I could do this on any of on my other programs. I'm gonna try one last time since y'all here. Bring in Zoom. That's it. Add to your stream. Boom. Media source. Select the tab. I want to use that tab. There we go. Y'all should be able to see that now. Confirm for me. DG said, "You good? Save the screen." But y'all should be able to see that tab right now, though. You said you see a background, no video. All right, let me see. All right, it is what it is. Okay, so yeah, I'll come back to it another time. It's sad. Man, I wasn't able to play this thing right here. It should have let me play it. It said it was sharing it, but I'll figure it out. But anyway, if you couldn't hear it, it was basically him, recapping what I was saying. And so, I take offense to that from a historical perspective, and also from just like being black and being proud. Like, man, like out of all the things you saying, man, that make a lot of sense. Like, you gonna go there with it just because you ain't feeling Obama and Kamala Harris? Like, you gonna go there with it? Like, you just see us readily able to like run over to Trump. Now, in a way, he's making what he's saying is true for some people, but not the majority. He said that for the first time we're going to see more black people vote for Republicans than Democrats. I'm like, because what have we got from it? And it's like, bro, you just skipped through the fact that we had to fight from 34 to 64, 30 years, right? 30 years of really being able to activate the right to vote, because as our data shows, a very minuscule percentage of us were voting. Yeah, he said I should have multiple things set up. Yeah, you're right. I wasn't sure I was going to show that, bro. But like, I showed another page. You're right about that. Like, yeah, man. Video playback demonstration. Like some of these things, I actually have these things here at a source. Hold on a second. It's like this here was. All right, let me try one more time. Like, y'all should be seeing something now. You made me go back to it. Like it's saying it's sharing this tab to restream. Oh, so you see it now. All right, bet. So I'm gonna play it. Let's see. All right, yo, he sound like he's egging people on, yo. I hope y'all heard that. He sound like he's egging people on. Oh, all right, my bad. I should have waited. All right, first of all, we hide that. Donate. I don't know why I got up there. Don't donate to that because that ain't to me. Um, so yeah, man, like it sounds like he's egging people on. Like, yo, you wildin', bro. First of all, like I said, let me go back to that other chart I showed y'all. Um, where's I want to share. Um, I want to go back to this for a second. Are y'all seeing a tab? Yeah, here we go. Okay, let's see here. Can we make this bigger? Maximize that. Yeah. All right. I hope you're able to see this. Make it bigger for myself. Okay. So from the 1930s, where we were kind of voting more for Republican, it doesn't go that far back. You know, really, it's pretty much neck and neck. I hope you can see my cursor. And so, really, between all these years up until 1954, we get the removal of Plessy versus Ferguson with the case Brown versus Board to stop all the segregation stuff in public spaces. And then we still weren't able to vote that much because people were like, they had all these different tests, right? All these forms of voter suppression, you got to read things. And then in certain places, there weren't schools for black folks, or they would have like these riddles and things that you have to like, just weird, stupid stuff that not even the white folks could pass, right? So they were doing all of that. So the civil rights movement hit to stop water lynching, to allow people to participate fully as first-class citizens. And then in '65, when that hit, that was the voting rights protection. So basically, one of the important parts about the Voting Rights Act, there was a pre-clearance section. I think it's Section 5, and that section meant that there are certain states that were known to like create obstructions for black people voting. So whenever you want to make a change to a regulation or somehow like a requirement for voting, that had to go to the federal government. And so some of these key states, I think like Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia was another one, right? And I believe Louisiana maybe up there. So these states had to get pre-clearance. Now, that's right now, that's when you begin to see us voting in larger numbers. These numbers here are just telling you the percentage of black people among black people. But like by like 1964, you see like this big line here. It's like a lot of black people voting. You know, that could have been just 10% or 15, 20% of black people voting in general. But among that 20%, obviously the majority of us were voting for the Democratic Party. Okay, that's the key detail. Now, here is where it gets crazy. This is another debunk right here. And I know I got to make this like, I got to simplify this. Let me just check back in here, make sure y'all seeing this. Let me minimize. Let me see. Let me see something here. Let me get out of this. Oh, here it is. I want to go here. Were y'all seeing that chart? Just want to make sure y'all seeing that chart, right? That I had up. All right. So if you're seeing that chart, I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to bring it back. So let me bring it back in. So share. Make sure. Okay, good. So now here's the deal. Check it out. From 1968 all the way up to, let's say, 2008, Republicans won this election. They won that election, and the Democrats won 76. Then the Republicans win 1980, 1984, 1988. Then we got 1992, 1996, and then the Republicans won 2000, 2004. Count that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So as soon as we were able to vote freely, more or less, without worrying about lynching, without all of these random tests, Republicans have won 7 out of that 10 elections right before Obama. So when Dr. Umar Johnson says, what did we get out of it? Like I keep telling people, the Republicans were winning all of that. As soon, don't you see the strategy here? We were fighting, trying to find our way. It was Jim Crow. We couldn't really vote because people was going to like lynch us, and the rules were stopping us from voting. So we fought. King died, X died, Elvis Cleaver died. Mad people were dying. Like, who were fighting for this, right? One, like, he had SNCC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the Black Panthers, CORE, like all of these groups, right? Fighting, coming together. They all kind of using different strategies, and they're coming together. And finally, when we were able, all right, we back in business. All right, bet. So finally, as soon as we were able to say, all right, we're going to hit the polls in larger numbers, white America was like, hold up, wait a minute. Let me show you something, y'all. Umar ain't, I don't want to like this, but Umar Johnson ain't ready. He ain't for us to tap into our, I don't think he wants us to. This man is doing, but let me show you something. Let me show you something. Because y'all think it's a game out here. I think your boy Dr. Henry is just talking this talk. Let me see what's good. Let's bring that in. Okay, close. We don't need that. Okay, let's bring that in right here. All right, y'all see this? This is a crush right here, yo. This is a crush. Okay, this is a crush. And people talk about Kamala Harris in California. California used to be red, bro. It's crazy. Right? Nixon was governor of California, right? Even Reagan was governor of California. So by the time she got in there, bro, that was ketchup city, bro. Like, for real. So check it. Republicans come and slaughter the Democrats. The reason why, because they said, listen, all white people, y'all feeling this civil rights movement, this civil rights act, and this voting rights act. If y'all not feeling it, y'all come to the Republican Party. That's basically what happened. Even the Democrats who were in the South, they just flipped and say, yo, we coming to the Republican Party as an organization. Same ideology. In fact, there's a quote, there's a saying, I forget who said it. It may not have been Barry Goldwater, but I'm gonna find out who. But somebody said they realized that the entire country is conservative. The entire country is anti-black. The entire country, you know, is anti the civil rights movement. And so all I had to do is just let everybody know what's good. Let's let white folks know. Like, start putting it in our campaign rhetoric that we know that they've gone too far. They need to settle down. Civil unrest, so let's just do it with the law and order. Trump is actually using his past. That's one I got to give him that credit. He may not know all of that much American history, but he knows enough. He knows the white supremacist American history. Yo, he knows that much. He definitely knows that much. He knows white supremacist history, yo. So he actually used the phrases that his ancestors used. Okay, so especially his ideological ancestors, I should say. Go back to what does it have to do with Dr. Umar Johnson? So when he's telling us what has the Democratic Party done for us, first of all, we got the Civil Rights Act, Voting Rights Act. Okay, and I can go more and more and more in terms of school opportunity to go to schools and all that kind of stuff, which he is enjoying. When people was fronting on him like he ain't get no doctorate degree, he's like, no, hold up. I went to school, got my education that we voting for you for, bro. Probably got some of that Pell money, TAP money. He probably fill out those FAFSA forms, most likely. What you talking about, bro? So we just don't know how real it was back then. And that's what I'm going to do in the Black Politics course. This is great for me. I think it's going to be great for all of us. So you still might not conclude, like me, that Kamala Harris is somebody you should pick over certain people, but you're going to have a better reason to talk about. Because Dr. Umar Johnson stuff is straight trash right now, bro. And even Amanda Seales, I got to say, I'm sorry. And I'm not saying because like I'm just saying based on our history. Like I'm doing my best to give you the words of white supremacists or just plain old everyday people who killed us, like Emmett Till's killer. They don't want us to vote. They always understood what that meant. We just don't get it because it's when you're hungry, you're hungry. You want to eat right now, bro. You don't want to wait no longer. Like you and when somebody owe you something, they owe it to you. You ain't trying to wait no longer. If you gave somebody like $100 and it's taking too long to give it to you, like you just want your money, man. Especially when you need it. You know what I mean? Like now you want your money back. So I get that. So a lot of times I don't say nothing to somebody who's real, who like, yo, I'm frustrated with all this politics. I get it, man. Because I would be frustrated, the same way in other areas of my life. If I know that I'm owed something. I did some work for a gig, I do videography and they ain't paying me my money and I'm waiting. I give them, all right, help. I'm gonna give you more time. I gave you a month. I gave you 3 months. Like I still ain't getting my money. Like, nah, bro, like something's up, man. Now we gotta take this to the next level. So I do get that attitude and mindset. But you can't simplify this situation in politics and then flip the script on what's really happening. So I'm really trying to show like what's when somebody says something and it's I'm sure I mean I'm obviously, if it's for a class or something else, I'll compress it. But it's like you see, it's not so easy to say 90 years because he's not accounting for the fact that a lot of us really couldn't vote. Our voting numbers were very low. It was very insignificant, and we pushed through that. And then when we did push through, we had to deal with 7 wins before Obama would come. And so when he says what the Democratic Party did for us, I'm like, yo, bro, they only been in like 3 times. And then we didn't really have a majority like they had for like the 7 times they had. Talking about like, don't make it that easy, man, because now you're cheating us out of a deeper understanding of our history. We deserve to know our history. That it's not that easy for us, and then we don't slip into like discrediting people who fought for things and their life, their lived experiences. We don't know their lived experiences. See, I can talk with a little something now because I feel it through my mom, vicariously through my mom, because she lived through Jim Crow, and I've been talking to her more about like what she had to experience. Like by law, bro, she couldn't go in certain places. Affirmative action, that was something that she used to go to college. She wanted to go to college. It was fronting, and course was crazy for her. But as soon as affirmative action kicked in, she was the first online. She went to Fordham University, got her degree, and pulled herself up with her own bootstrap. She said, "All I need is some bootstraps. Like I don't mind," and that's what she did. So don't come with me with that stuff, bro. And then now we got people who want to now. So let me tell you why they shook, yo. They real shook. Republicans, racist Republicans, conservatives are real shook because the kind of things we've been asking for, like reparations, all that kind of stuff, we were asking for it, but we weren't realistic. I mean, I get it. Like, reparation ain't gonna happen until like we are voting. If we're asking for, if you're asking for reparations and not revolution, then you need to know what you're talking about. Like anybody that comes with you talking about reparations, I ain't voting, then you don't want reparations. You don't want reparations. That's a whole different fight. You might as well just say I want a revolution. I mean, at least you can fight that fight. You can find some guns, and you're gonna be about that business. Y'all not even about that business. We had black folks in the civil rights movement who were about that business, and they were about voting at the same time. Ain't nobody today as real as them. I don't see nobody talking that talk, but ain't nobody as real as our cats, our people fighting in the 60s and in the 70s. Ain't nobody here. And even early on, slaves was running, trying to save people's lives and going back to the South. People who are out here giving their all in like 1910, 1920, 1930s. Ain't nobody, everybody talking that stuff. Dr. Umar Johnson talking that stuff. He ain't about it like that, bro. I'm not even about it like that. Like that. Like, I'm trying to emulate it in terms of the intellectual aspect, like how we had in the Harlem Renaissance, and you had dudes like Du Bois, you know, just stepping up, the Martin Delaney's, the Marcus Garvey's, right? Like I'm following along those lines, and then we were able to infiltrate scholarship. So I'm being real like that by making sure I'm going to share the history and everything that I'm uncovering for us. Some people may know it, some people may forget it, and some people just need a little bit more encouragement. So I'm trying to be about it like that. But don't try to act like some Kamala Harris and Obama, they're not doing. That's a real fight to be in there, bro. They get death threats, man. They're living miserable lives a lot of times. What like they're dealing with, they got a lot of headaches, man. They got a lot of headaches doing that. Not to mention they got receipts. Like Barack Obama has done more than what Dr. Umar Johnson would ever do. My Brothers Keepers program has already got kids into school, got them owning their own businesses and fighting the cause for black people. Like the evidence is there because Go follow the page. Go follow the reports. Talk to the students. You can track the students who were getting started right when Obama was president, who have now graduated. If we really care, like, nah, man. Right now, Omar Johnson up there playing around with Sukiyana and stuff like that, and talking about bringing women to the principal's office so he can paddle them. And then gonna suggest that we go to Trump. That's some bull crap, bro. That's some op stuff, bro. While he out here want to talk about barbecues, Kamala Harris has freaking did back on track. You barbecuing, she created a program where people can clean their record or get a job, man, so they won't go back. Trying to get parents not to have their kids get shot up and get arrested by using truancy. And people say, oh, she's just locking up parents. Like, look up the numbers of parents that got locked up under her. Like, do that before you say anything. Nah, man. So, I'm about that business because what he's doing is crazy right now. And then he's trying to mess with their blackness. Like, freaking, we talk about Frederick Douglass. People want to talk about Frederick Douglass. He likes to say he's a relative of Frederick Douglass. Word, because Frederick Douglass had a white father, bro. A lot of people, we mix, bro. We fruit punch, bro. Like, stop playing, man, with that colorism stuff. Like, you playing fast and loose with our history and knowledge and with our trauma, bro. Like, he's using our trauma against us, man. He's using our history and our trauma against us. So, and as a historian, when you say something like that, it's like a doctor. I mean, I can almost imagine a doctor hearing somebody go, "Oh, you could just add this and drink that and da da da." And it's like, doctors like, bro, it's like not that simple, man. It's like it's not that simple, bro. Like, biology, medicine, organic chemistry is not as mad formulas, bro. Like, medicine got to be like made to like the milligram, bro. Like, there's a certain kind of precision. It's not perfect. Things get caught wrong, but this science is serious, man. The study of something is serious. Same thing with our history, man. Take it more seriously than that, bro. Don't just be saying for 90 years we ain't getting nothing, because you just dismissing the fact that for like 1/3 of those 90 years we were getting shot up. We were trying to find cover. Our Wall Street was just burnt down. We still can't even vote. We got no schools. We got no hospitals. We trying to move to get jobs in the North and in the Midwest, and they still trying to kick us out of that. It's so bad in the South. We were trying to migrate. They were trying to stop us from migrating. Like, bro, you wildin'. You wildin'. And then when we are able to vote a little bit more free about looking behind our backs, Republicans like, nah, we all gonna rally and take control of the presidency for like the next 40 years. Nah, bro, your son, your boy, somebody go get your boy. I'm ready to holler at him. He ain't gonna holler at me if you don't know I exist, probably. He gotta know I exist because I'm blocked, yo. I'm blocked. And all I would do is put up deets. I don't be talking like, I get amped. I don't do that. He can definitely get a little preachy and ministerial and get Black Panthers, but like, your words are not as solid, bro, as your confidence. Your words are not on solid ground, bro. His confidence is, but his history, it's not on solid ground. I'm trying to show y'all right here. Okay. So for that, from the 30s up to the 60s, that 30 years right there, we were kind of back and forth, and we weren't really voting. Like, you know what? Let me just show you something before I leave. Just like, because I know more visuals. I'm talking, but it's like, let me show you something real fast. Show you something real fast. Yeah. Let's see if I can get this to y'all right here. So 1960s were kind of. I want to go back. Can we go back further? So we can't go back. So let me see. Are y'all seeing this right here? I don't know if I can see this. So I'll just have it ready for next time. But at the end of the day, our registered voters before 1964 was dismal. Not by choice, by survival. We wanted to survive. That's what that was about. Let me get rid of that. We wanted to survive. So that's why it was very low. Let me go to Homegirl's book right here. Dr. Kara Anderson. So voter turnout. Let's do registered voters. I like ebooks, y'all. But I like the print books too. So check this out. Indeed, the impact of the Voting Rights Act was profound. Just prior to its passage, only 6.7% of Black adults were registered to vote in Mississippi. And it was like, I mean, Mississippi had a huge population of Black people. Only 7% of Black adults were registered to vote in Mississippi by the time the Voting Rights Act hit, which was in 1965. Remember that year? Now, Umar Johnson is talking about what did we get from Democrats from the 1930s when 6.7% of us were lucky enough, at least in that state, and the numbers are comparable in other states, were able to vote. Like nationally, we weren't like even able to have any presence. It mattered to a certain degree, but like not like what we're saying now, where people really have to think about it. So it took up until 1965, and guess what? 3 years later, with federal oversight in Section 5, we talked about that, Section 5 preclearance that required the Department of Justice or District Court in Washington, D.C. to approve any changes to the state's election laws. The number of Black registered voters had skyrocketed to 59.4%. Just like when the Civil War ended, people were thinking that, oh, Black folks are going to have a hard time integrating and getting with society. No, we were starting our businesses. We were ready to work for ourselves. We had already started our schools, our HBCUs getting off the ground, our fraternities and sororities getting off the ground. Business was booming. Like we wanted our few acres in a mule. We did want that, but we weren't really waiting for that. We did our thing so much they said, Black codes. We need to find ways to restrict their activity from the marketplace, from schools, from transportation. So when people try to paint us like, oh, we don't want to do our own thing, like what you talking about? How in the world we get a Black Wall Street for them to burn down so soon? Several of them, by the way. Like, yo, bro, they got us looking like cornballs, bro. If you leave it up to Dr. Umar Johnson and everybody else, we looking like some cornballs. Now, if that's what history showed, then I'll be like, that's what history showed. But history doesn't show that. The books doesn't show that. Like, nah, bro. So when we started voting for the Democratic Party again, we were not doing it as sheep. Okay, we were doing it to find opportunity. We were knocking on any door. First of all, there were a lot of independent parties. There were a lot of independent all black groups. So, black folks was coming together, but they realized that's not enough, because when you think about whiteness, see, here's how we get fooled. This is why multiculturalism is a threat to white America, unfortunately, because, and a lot of black folks say, oh, we want to make sure, we don't get as much as we supposed to when we like create these coalitions with other I want to say coalition, right? Yeah, I'm bugging. With other groups, other minorities, because we don't get as much as we supposed to get. We don't get our fair share of that. I get it, but we still got to learn how to negotiate, because when we're going against whiteness, you have to remember that all of the European groups got membership cards to whiteness in America. Like when it says whites only, that includes not just Germans, Italians, the Scots, the British, Russians, people from Spain, Romania, you name it. So all those groups. Now they do function individually, right, as ethnic groups as well, but they also have a white card. So that means their resources are going, they're getting ammunition from outside their community so that they can flourish. They're getting political capital from outside. Just like when America, under FDR started saying, okay, it looks like European countries having a hard time with Germany in them, and there's a Second World War, even the First War. So it's like, nah, we kind of don't want them to lose. So you know what? Because we were kind of like going back and forth. Like when I found out that, I was like, oh, we kind of brutal with it, America's kind of brutal. But then America chose a side. It's like, nah, we don't want them to win. So they gave them backup. So Russia, the Soviet Union consisted of other countries, that whole block of other countries. So we trying to do something on our own. It's like, if you are a general saying that, you need to have your stars stripped away from you. Get out of here. Get out of here. It is important to have, like, I know, like, black networks. I'm all for the Pan-Africanism, but like as an overarching strategy with no allies, that's why America has so much political power around the world, because it has allies. It was smart enough to do that. It even has Saudi Arabia as an ally. Like, yo, you don't get no more beast than that, bro. Like, you playing with the wrong person if you don't get this. That's why King was like, yo, y'all need to like wake up and like start reading like international affairs, because we're playing a whole different game. That's one of the reasons Gaza is in the situation. Israel got an ally, a big ally. Gaza got some allies, but they ain't really stepping up. Israel is not doing that by itself. When Cuba had an ally in the Soviet Union, it raised up against America. It was like, yo, we good, bro. We got the USSR with us, bro. You bugging? So we got to think about that. Yeah. So back to Dr. Umar Johnson. We're going around the world, but it's because a lot of stuff is connected in terms of thinking about history, and like we just make comments like, oh, we just don't vote or hold the vote, and it's hold the vote. Then you don't count. You don't count. You gotta count, bro. Become significant, and not at this point. Not at the point where, because see, here's the thing. People think I'm talking about either or. I'm never talking about either or. I believe in supporting black businesses and buying black. I do that. But that's not the only thing. How you gonna try to get a business and you're not a part, you're not voting on the the economic legislations. Like, imagine somebody saying in the 70s and the 80s, I ain't gonna vote, I'm starting my business, and redlining was going on like crazy, even still. Like, they're saying, oh, I'm just gonna do business. Black folks just don't vote, you're just gonna do businesses, and you're not voting. Now you can't get the investments you need in your community. So another business can get all the connections, all the bank loans, and now you can't keep up. The majority of businesses, white or black, fell within the first 5 years. Bro, you playing with the physics of business, and you handicapping yourself. That's crazy. We ain't think of it that way. Like, you ain't thinking, like, the only way you don't vote, bro, like, you should be in another country. Because right now you're in a court and you're messing up for all of us, man. Like, it's like somebody in a court. We got 5 on the court and one of us ain't doing it. It's 5 against 5, right? We're already at a disadvantage, and you ain't doing it in the court but talking and raising hell. Like, get off the court, bro. Like, we'll win the game, you come to the party, whatever. Get on the bench, let somebody else who's still on the team just go sit down and let other people come in. Let Kamala do the best she can. She ain't gonna score every time. An elected official ain't gonna score every time, but they on the court, man. You even got go get your school up, bro. That'll be the most constructive thing you can do right now, man. Take kids on a trip, bro. Do a summer program or something, because right now you're deteriorating our energy and our political capital that we built up all this time for the 90 years that you're talking about and that you capitalize on. He got a doctorate degree, so he can fall back on that. A lot of people still out here struggling, man. And he talking about don't vote. Talking about vote for Trump. They're anti-education anyway. Higher education. Yo, some twisted stuff, bro. Anyway, yo, thanks a lot tonight, man. Listen, we're gonna be doing some black politics more and more. I'm gonna be creating like a nice little black politics program. If I want to get in on that, let me know. Keep me posted. I'm gonna keep y'all posted when it's about ready to drop, and it's gonna be exclusive, right? We're gonna learn. We're gonna get into the details. We're gonna get to primary sources. I'm gonna have some copies for y'all, recommended books. All right, we're gonna be reading that stuff and learning about how we got to where we are. Okay, and it's not to have you conclude on things like me, but for you to understand the history that impacted, everything that we are experiencing right now. All right, so don't be falling for that, man. Don't be falling for that. Like, I'm like, that 90 years is still bugging. I can't even sleep the last few days. I heard that. I was like, how do I even deal with this? Because this is like so messy. It's just so messy, y'all. All right, peace and love, y'all. It's your boy, Dr. Henry. I'm about to exit the room. I appreciate anyone who came by to check us out. I'm gonna keep this up for a little while. I'm probably gonna if I missed out on something that you feel like should be discussed or should have been discussed, like, share that with me, bro. Like, I take what y'all say. Feel y'all be dropping stuff. I do my homework, bro. I stay doing that, because for me it's like it's a hobby at the same time. Like, it's my work, it's my purpose, but I also love it. I have a lot of fun. It's like it's enriching to learn more about like what's going on with us. I've become more and more proud of us, more and more, and it's like I really want to spend most of my time just getting at white supremacists and everything who try to say like they're better than black people and all that kind of stuff, try to play us. But then, like, I realize I gotta take time out to talk to us, because white supremacy has plants inside of our community, giving us miseducation, and it has people who I think may mean well passing out poisonous candy. And right now, I'm dedicating a lot of stuff that I say to the things that Dr. Umar Johnson says. Not everything that he says, but the things that I feel are detrimental to us. Now, my political preferences, that's a matter of preference. But when his disagreement with that entails misinformation, especially on a historical level, that's a big problem. That's a big problem. It's very similar to, like, somebody telling you, if you buy something from me, this is what it is, and it's not what it is. It's like somebody selling you some Jordans, but they're not really Jordans. It's like somebody selling me a camera, but it doesn't really work well. I'm not gonna be able to get the job done. I'm not gonna be able to do what I need to do, use it correctly, because the item is messed up. And I like, when you got messed up information, it's hard to function. Like, there's a deeper and richer understanding of the Black experience that led up to Black people voting for Democrats. Barack Obama and Kamala Harris stand on the legacies of many of our politicians. They're using the strategies that were developed to navigate white majorities. So when certain people you calling sellouts are not sellouts, they're using devices that we just don't know. We weren't educated on, Harold Washington, the first Black mayor of Chicago, or Kenneth Gibson, the first Black mayor, if I'm correct, of Newark, or Carl Stokes. Okay, a lot of these names ain't gonna ring a bell to us. They're not gonna ring a bell to us. So we don't know what they went through. We don't know, like they've created a reservoir of experiences, and then those experiences turn to wisdom for us to navigate. People think that the presidency was handed over to President Barack Obama. It wasn't. When Barack Obama won, he ought to win, because that was the first time where the Black voter turnout pretty much matched white voter turnout. It was the power of that vote. And we were robbed of knowing that power because we didn't vote for the midterm elections. We didn't understand that. There are a lot of us thinking that a president can just write in reparations, not realizing that it takes the Congress. So we picked the president, but then we didn't give him the backup that he needed. Worse than that, we turned our backs on the backup that he had. Well, we didn't know. That's fine, because it takes that first time for us to know for next time. That's what I'm here for, man. Like, I'm here about learning. And I think a lot of us are getting that with Kamala Harris. That's why a lot of us, especially myself, I'm much louder than I was when Obama came. Because and I'm going to remind people too, like, we got to get it in, but we got to stay on task. The slave trade wasn't created overnight. It took years and years. The notion of slavery, that concept, that chattel slavery, that concept had to be worked. There were incentives for people to get on board with being, anti-Black. By the time Britain got into came to the New World, instead of the part of the slave trade that we are a part of, it was already going on for a few hundred years. Like the Portuguese in Spain were already rocking in South America. But way before the British were even thinking about it, which is the part of slavery that we are attached to. So they were able to learn from that, and then, try to work out some other systems. So it wasn't overnight. And so same thing with us, our success ain't gonna come overnight. If you ever try to gain weight, lose weight, that joint's gonna take time. We talking about social economics, bro. It's gonna take a time. We can do it, and we can do it within a couple of generations, I believe. But first things first, we got to be a little bit more clear about our history and start owning our legacy. If we don't even know our legacy or dividing our legacy, then it's like, and when I'm not talking about just a uniform Black ideology. I'm just talking about understanding our legacy. What have we accomplished? What are things we did? Why, maybe setbacks we had. What things that we did that could have been better, and how do we learn from that? But right now, we can't even do that because we got somebody talking to us crazy, and he ordained himself, the prime minister or the educator of Black people or something like that. Is he hired by white supremacists? He shouldn't be. There's so many other scholars that we need to be getting our information from. Get it? His the force of his, his intentions. We need that. We need to hear that. But he needs to direct that at the white supremacists, at the conservatives, not enticing us to vote for them, at the people that are undermining the protections that allows him to even get a school, bro. It's crazy, y'all. I'm out, bro. Yo, peace and love, y'all.